Hi there Booktube, it's Eleanor here, and today it's time for my what I read and what I'm going to read video. So I've read quite a lot this week, so I want to get into it as fast as possible. It was a very good reading week. But first I want to do my Booktuber shout out of the week, and this week I want to talk about someone who's only very recently set up a channel, and I was lucky enough to find her channel, and her channel name is Happy Comes First and her name is Knock, and I hope I've got that right, so apologies if I haven't. But she's really lovely and I really enjoy watching her videos. I think if you like the YA type of books that I read, then you will definitely enjoy her channel. She's really bubbly and cheerful and got some interesting things to say, and I really like her and I really like her channel, and I'd really like to see her have more subscribers. So I've linked all her details down below, and I really think you should check her out, and I hope that you like her as much as I do. Okay, so now on for the books that I read this week. At the end of last week, I told you that, or in my April wrap-up it might have been, I told you that I hadn't quite got to my Booktuber recommend book of this month, but I got to it just at the end of April and the beginning of May, but I have read it, and oh my god, why did I wait so long? Thank you so much, Michael from Bitten by a Radioactive Book. He recommended Fortune's Pawn by Rachel Back, and this has to be my favourite book of the year so far, I think. I just loved this story. So needless to say, I gave it 5 stars. This was a space opera and it had everything that I could possibly want. There's a kick-ass main character called Devi, and she is a career soldier. She wants to work her way up to be the best soldier, which are the Devastators who work for the king, and she wants to work her way up to that. And the best way to do it, in order to sort of fast track herself, is apparently to do a year on a particular ship by a particular captain who for some reason always runs into trouble. So straight off you're thinking, I wonder what's going on here. She's kick-ass, she loves her armour, she's really into her guns, which I think is brilliant. And so she joins the crew of this ship, and we just learn more about the crew, their relationships together. We learn more about what this ship's all about, the sort of hidden mysteries that are going on, and it's just really great. There's a sort of slow burning romance going on. It's not the sort of be all and end all of the plot. There's lots of action and fighting, and it was just brilliant. Great. I've already reserved the next 2 books in the trilogy at my library, so I'm just waiting for them to come in, and I will be starting them as soon as they come in. TBR, shmeebr. I will be dropping that TBR to read the next 2 in this trilogy because it is great. And I really, this is a massive, massive, massive beggy plea. If anybody can tell me any other books or series that they think, they don't have to be obviously the same because it's a different book, but in this sort of vein, something you think I might like that's a bit like this, please, 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 please put it in the comments, because I really, really need more of this type of book. I love it. After such a good book, if I really enjoy a book, I tend to go to a graphic novel or something shorter just to give myself a little bit of time, sort of wind down from that. And unfortunately, I picked up Revival Volume 1, and this is by Tim Seeley and Mike Norton. This is Volume 1, You're Among Friends. I picked this up in London. It was recommended to me by a comic book graphic novel store, and it just wasn't for me, unfortunately. I gave this 2 stars. I didn't hate it, but for me, I wasn't sold on the story, and it was a little bit, yeah, for me. Sort of a take on the zombie novel. It's about a town where the people who have died start reviving and coming alive again, but they're all a bit odd and there's something weird going on, and the town becomes sort of a media circus because the media want to find out what's going on, and there's a lot of sort of God-fearing people and a lot of, you know, that sort of thing, and the story just didn't mesh and do anything for me, I'm afraid. The art is lovely. It's my sort of art, you know, punchy colours, and it could have been a lot better for me. However, I have heard a lot of people say how much they enjoy it. So I think, you know, with graphic novels and things like, well, books in general, it's just personal taste. But for me, this didn't really hit the mark, unfortunately. The next couple of books were NetGalley books on my Kindle. So unfortunately, I haven't got a picture to show you. But the first one was called The Merit Birds. And this was by Kelly Powell. This story is about a young 18-year-old boy, and he's very angry. He struggles with temper and issues with his temper, and his mother has decided, she's a single mum, and she's decided that she's going to take him over to Laos. So he's finishing up his school over there, and it's just really, it's a contemporary story. It's about him fitting in a new environment, a new culture. It's about him finding someone and the difference of finding someone of a different race and how racial prejudice sets in, and there's a bit of a mystery, and in the end he winds up being, and this isn't really a spoiler because it's sort of in the description, but he ends up in prison in a foreign country, and the only person that can save him is someone that doesn't even really know him, and he doesn't know. And it was a good story, but it wasn't quite enough for me, and so I gave it 3 stars. I think the main problem for me with books is if I can't connect to the characters, and with this I just didn't feel anything for any of them, and so unfortunately that's the reason why I couldn't give it any higher. The next book was also a NetGalley book, so obviously full disclosure, it was an ARC, and that was The Girl at Midnight by Melissa Gray. I think the problem for me with this book was I found it a bit hard to get into in the beginning, but once I did, I really enjoyed it. It's about 2 different mythical type of races. You've got, now I can't say the words of the 2 races, so I'm just going to say the bird race and the dragon race. So you've got this avian, I think that's the word for birds, avian race and the dragon race, and they are at war with each other. And this is all going on sort of in the underground of London and sort of within the magical other area where humans can't see them, and the only way, according to law as in L-O-R-E, not law L-A-W, is that they find this firebird, and this firebird is meant to help create peace amongst them. And there is a human girl who has been taken in by the bird race years before, and it seems that it is up to her to try and find this firebird, find out what this firebird is, and find out how she can save restore peace between the 2 races. And it was good, it was interesting. I liked the world building of this, I liked the cultures. I found the characters a little bit difficult to get into, and the start I found it a little bit complicated, not complicated, but a little bit sort of what is going on for a while. So I gave this one 3 stars. I did enjoy it, but not enough to give it 4, unfortunately. The next book I read was with Tanya at List Assess Reader. She's already read this book, but she was rereading it, and it is 5 Little Pigs by Agatha Christie. This is my first ever Agatha Christie. It's a Poirot book, and it was a really good one to start with. I really enjoyed it. I think these books, for me, I'm not going to be reading them one after the other. It's not a type of an addictive type of genre for me, but I'm definitely going to be picking up these every now and again because they're really great. I love the way that they're set out. This particular one is about a murder that had happened 16 years previous, and he's been hired by the daughter of the woman that was convicted. She was convicted of killing her husband by poison, and she died in prison, and it's the daughter who has come to Poirot to say, please discover if this is actually true. Did she kill my dad? She sent me a letter as she died saying that she was innocent, and so Poirot goes back over the different people in the case and he interviews them, and we get their accounts, and there's lots of deducting and deducing, and we learn what happened, and I really enjoyed it. It was split into sort of 3 sections really, with then sort of a reveal at the end. So the first section was him speaking to the police and speaking to the people in the defence team about the trial, and then the second bit was him interviewing all the different people, the suspects so to speak, and the people that were there at the time. The next bit is their written accounts of what happened. They write their accounts, and for that bit I found it a little bit repetitive, and that was the reason that I couldn't rate it higher. And then the end is sort of the big sort of reveal within this type of story. That's how it always goes, I think. But I really enjoyed it. I whizzed through it. I read this in under a day. It was a really good read, and it was nice to sort of push my thoughts and my, oh, this is who I think's done it out to Tanya, and for her to reply. So I gave this one 4 stars. And then the last book that I read was a really quick book, and that was called Windcatcher by Jeff Alterbeth. I didn't know much about this. This was a NetGalley arc again, so full disclosure. But it was a really interesting read. It was a YA book. It was about a Native American girl, so we're looking at a different culture again, and it's got some paranormal sides to it. It's to do with Native American culture and mythology. The Native American mythology running through this book, I think, really pulled it along for me. I really enjoyed finding out about that. It's something that I haven't read about and don't hear much of in YA books, so I really enjoyed that side of it. I think for me, the main reason I couldn't rate this higher was, again, I didn't connect with any of the characters. The main character, Juliet, who is sort of hearing voices and something's going on with her. She's getting these headaches and something's changing in her, as well as this sort of murder mystery type thing going on. She was quite angry. I didn't feel she was a complete character for me, and she just didn't do anything for me to make me sort of feel anything for her, and I think that was one of the reasons why, you know, I wasn't really rooting for her, so I couldn't give this more than 3 stars. However, I really enjoyed it, and if you do it like sort of YA fantastical, paranormally type books with a little bit of mythology in there, then I think you'll really like this, and it was worth a read. I'm pleased I read it, and I've not read any of his books before, but I think he's got some other books out that people have said are good, and yeah, it was a good read. So now on to the books that I'm planning on reading next week. Next week I've got quite a few buddy reads. Well, I've got 2 buddy reads. The first one, I am reading The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken with Shelley from Collie of the Wobbles, and if I enjoy this, which I hope I will because I've heard great things, I'll probably read the next 2 in the series and get that trilogy read and out the way and enjoyed, and fingers crossed, I really want to enjoy this. And then the next buddy read I'm doing is with Stephanie on Goodreads, and we are reading These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. So my aim this week is to get through those 4 books. I'm currently reading The Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I am only a little way through that, so I'm recording this a day or 2 early, so I'm hoping to have that finished by sort of Friday, Saturday, ready for my Darkest Minds buddy read. I'm really excited about that, and I know that Shelley's going to be a brilliant person to buddy read because I find her very interesting and I love her channel. Speaking of channels, ooh, what a segue. Speaking of channels, go and check Knockout on Happy Comes First. I'll link her details down below. She's a great booktuber, and as I say, she's quite new, and I really think we should show her some lovely bookish support. So if you're into YA books, or if you fancy checking her out, then do it, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. And don't forget, give me some recommendations of books like Fortune's Pawn by Rachel Back. I loved that, and I need some more. Okay, anyway, I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, Booktube.